Now for this month's Incident Desk, where we invite the police to appeal to you directly. How vandals derailed an express train in Dorset, almost causing another major train disaster. An argument in a ticket queue at Waterloo that turned to murder. The hunt for a crucial clue, a distinctive ring that was stolen during a rape in Bath. And the theft of pictures from the Liverpool Polytechnic. The artist was John Lennon. Here's Superintendent David Hatcher.
First, that murder in London. On the evening of Friday the 9th of December last year, Glaswegian John Heron was fatally stabbed at Waterloo Station. We think Mr Heron caught the 7:47 train that evening from Bracknell in Berkshire, arriving at Waterloo at 8:43. He then joined the queue at the information centre. As he was waiting, the man in front of him walked away briefly. When he returned to the front of the queue, John Heron told him to get to the back as he'd lost his place. They had a heated argument, and the man seemed to leave. Seconds later, he stabbed John Heron in the back and arm. As he collapsed on the floor, his murderer ran out onto the station concourse and fled through the arch. We're not sure whether he went left down York Road or right to the taxi rank. Have a look at our video fit of the man. He's described as white, aged 35 to 45, 5 foot 10 inches tall, medium build, with dark brown hair, and had a generally scruffy appearance at the time. According to witnesses, he spoke with a strong Scottish accent. 10 minutes before the incident, in the travel centre, a Scotsman had questioned the price of his Capital card from Slough to Paddington. He went next door to the information centre to check it. We'd like to talk to this man, or anyone who might have information about the murder. There's a substantial reward, so if you can help, ring us now. Next, colleagues in Avon and Somerset need your help in catching a particularly vicious rapist. Between 1 and 2 p.m. on Wednesday the 8th of June in Camden Crescent, Bath, a woman was raped at knife point when a man forced his way into her basement flat. She's helped us make up this video fit of the rapist. He's Afro-Caribbean, in his early 20s, about 5 foot 9 inches tall, clean-shaven with short hair. He was wearing grey, baggy corduroy trousers, a darkish check shirt and a dark grey or black jacket. Just before the attack, a man of the same description was seen round the corner at the front door of the Fountain House Hotel in Lansdowne Road. The rapist also stole a very unusual family ring from the woman. It's one of only 3 which exist and is gold with a seal showing a pelican emerging from a crown. If you recognise this man or have seen the ring, please get in touch. Next, British Transport Police need your help to solve a serious train derailment in Dorset. On Sunday the 11th of December, a fast train travelling from Waterloo to Weymouth hit a cement mixer, which vandals had placed on the line at Parkstone, a suburb of Poole. The collision forced the front carriages off the rails, but the train ploughed on, out of control for about half a mile. It eventually came to a halt, perched precariously on a bridge. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but the damage to the train and the track will cost over £500,000 to repair. We urgently need to speak to 3 young men who may have crucial information about the incident. At 6:57 p.m. on Sunday the 11th of December, they boarded the Waterloo to Poole train at Bournemouth. As it went on to Branksome, they were noisy and harassed passengers. It was a slow train, stopping at all stations between. Here at Parkstone, several passengers got off, including the young men. The train continued on to Poole. Just 13 minutes later, as the fast train passed through Parkstone, the collision occurred. In those 13 minutes, the cement mixer had been deliberately moved off the station platform onto the track. The first man is 18 or 19 years old, slim, with short brown hair. He was wearing blue jeans and a black leather jacket. The second is also 18 or 19, with fair hair in a crew cut and wearing jeans and a denim jacket. The third was similar in height and age and also had fair hair in a crew cut. If you recognise them or have any information at all, then call us now. Finally, an item of nostalgia from my youth. In 1984, Yoko Ono presented a set of 14 prints like these to Liverpool Polytechnic School of Art and Design. But sometime on the 11th of December last year, they were stolen. The drawings were all done by ex-Beatle John Lennon, who studied art there in the 1950s. One of the drawings features the famous Bed In for Peace, where John and Yoko appeared in bed at a press conference to appeal for world peace and love. Since John Lennon's death in 1981, the sketches have rocketed in value. Just recently, a set was sold for £20,000. The drawings were in a white vinyl portfolio with the name of the collection, Bag 1, on the front. And they were all signed by John Lennon. The sketches are part of a limited edition of just 300 sets, so if you've been offered them, call us now.
And here's the number. If you think you can help, 01811 8055, 01811 8055. We move now to this month's incident desk, some short appeals on crimes from around the country. How the Pope's gift of a ring was stolen from the Cardinal of all England. A distinctive tie that might help trace a gunman who raped a woman and left her for dead. The small train robbery, how precious steam engines were stolen from their miniature depot. And the smoke that vanished into thin air. How a convoy of cigarettes was hijacked on the open road. Here's Superintendent David Hatcher.
First, we're looking for a man who carried out a vicious rape and attempted murder. A woman was attacked in the early hours of December the 21st at Swanscombe outside Gravesend in Kent by a man with a black air pistol and a double-bladed Bowie-type knife. He took her to a nearby quarry where he raped, stabbed and tried to strangle her. She was in intensive care for a week, but thankfully is now making a satisfactory recovery. We think her attacker left behind this tie. It's dark blue and covered in red, yellow and white crests. It's a 1980 to 1982 school tie from the Downs Comprehensive School in Dartford, which is 7 miles away. This one has been restitched by hand at the back, and it goes all the way up here. A name tag might have been ripped from here, and a small piece is missing from one end of it. Do you recognise it? The man we're hunting is white, aged about 20, 5'7" to 6 feet tall, with round chubby face and fair to blonde hair. He was wearing a dark padded anorak with yellow and red tucks on the shoulders and black gloves with red padding on the backs. The same man may be responsible for indecently assaulting a woman just last Saturday afternoon at Darrenthwood Lane near Dartford. The description here is 20 to 25 years old, 5'10", with short fairish hair. He wore a brown cloth bomber jacket and jeans and told the victim he came from nearby Swanley. Please ring us if you recognise him or know about either attack. Next, the hijack of a lorry carrying over £300,000 worth of cigarettes and tobacco products. Just before 7 a.m. on Friday the 2nd of December, a lorry like this was driving down 7 Mile Lane near Westmoreling in Kent. It had been in convoy with another lorry, but it had become separated. It was forced to a halt by a yellow BT van, registration A416TYX, which had been stolen from Orpington just 2 weeks previously. The driver and his lorry were taken to this empty warehouse in New Hythe Lane, Larkfield. Inside the warehouse, police found the abandoned telecom van and empty lorry. I think the thieves must have unloaded the contents into another vehicle of similar size. The driver, who was roughly treated, describes at least 2 men who were black, clean-shaven and in their mid-20s. One, he says, was 5'8" tall and had a round face, and the other was 6'2" and well-built. If you've any information, please get in touch. There's a reward of up to £30,000 being offered. Next, we need your help to find 3 gold rings which belong to the head of the Roman Catholic Church in England, Cardinal Basil Hume, who's seen here wearing one of them. They were taken from his residence, Archbishop's House in Victoria. Apart from their financial value, the rings are of considerable religious significance. One of them was presented to Cardinal Hume by Pope Paul VI, and is one of only 19 in the world. It's 18-carat Italian gold and shows Christ holding a lamb and shepherd's crook. The papal seal is clearly marked on the back above the letters MACRI. The second missing ring is similar to this one. It's also 18-carat gold and has a large amethyst stone and a solid band at the back. There are no papal markings on the one that was stolen. The third ring is also gold and has a green stone with red veins. That's known as a bloodstone. We'd like to hear from you if you've been seen or been offered any of them. Now, I'm sure these will bring back a few childhood memories, but these are locomotives with a difference. They are rare, expensive, and identical to one stolen during a burglary in Colwyn Bay, North Wales last November. This one, rolling in now, is a replica of an Argentine state railway locomotive made by Lehmann of Germany, as were these other 2. This one represents the Girardot State Railway of Colombia, and this one, the Indian State Railway. Now they're valued at between £3,500 and £4,500 each, while this steam locomotive is an OS Porter Mogul. It's valued at £3,000. But lastly, the pièce de résistance is this Astor's electric model of the world's largest locomotive, and it's called the Big Boy. There are only 30 models in existence. This one was lent to us by London Toy and Model Museum, and each of those is worth £10,000. Their size and rarity make all the locomotives particularly distinctive. So if you know the whereabouts of those stolen engines, call us now.
Indeed, if you have information to add on any of those incident desk cases, please do ring us on 01 811 8055.
Well, now to this month's incident desk. Can you help find the luxury cars stolen from outside a Berkshire factory? You'd know them if you've seen them. They're only 6 feet long. The violent hijack of 2 lorries. Why was one of them abandoned with thousands of pounds worth of cargo left on board? And in Norfolk, can you help find the mystery fraudster who lives a life of luxury on other people's money? With the details, here's Superintendent David Hatcher.
First, we need your help to solve the murder of 43-year-old Alan Ellis from Hackney, East London. On Saturday the 20th of August, he left this pub just after 11:30 p.m. to walk the short distance to his home on the Jack Dunning estate. As he approached an alleyway on Churchill Walk, he was attacked by 2 men. He was savagely kicked and punched to the ground by his attackers and died of internal injuries the following day. Both attackers were black, and one was wearing a distinctive yellow and green jumper like this. A ring, similar to this one, was taken. The one belonging to Alan Ellis was cracked across the middle. 5 days later, this man tried to sell an identical ring in a local jeweller's. He's about 20, tall and slim. So if you recognise him or you've been offered that ring, call us now. My colleagues in Norfolk need your help in finding a con man who's carried out nearly £200,000 worth of frauds and has conned at least 50 banks and credit companies since he first struck 2 years ago. He's in his 40s, 6'2" to 6'4" inches tall, well built with brown hair, usually smartly dressed, and he speaks with a soft Lancashire accent. He's believed to be married with 2 teenage girls and a son aged about 5. We think he may have used at least 3 cars, including a silver Range Rover with a horse mascot. The registration number is A894KGV. Also a green BMW, registration number C472YYG. And a silver Vauxhall Nova, registration number F551UFL. He uses various aliases based on the names of innocent people, such as Graham David Lord, David Waters, Robert Hughes and Andrew Quayle. Please ring us if you think you know him or his whereabouts. Next, the raid on a Bristol warehouse in which robbers stole over £25,000 worth of goods. On the evening of Thursday the 1st of December, a lorry arrived at this trading estate in Bristol. It had travelled down from Birmingham and was carrying household electrical goods such as televisions and hi-fis. At 5:30 the next morning, 2 employees were checking delivery notes.
Lie on the floor. Get down on the floor. Down.
The robbers used a distinctive red and blue scarf to bind their hands, which they then covered in parcel tape. Then they were locked in 2 cars parked in the warehouse. They filled a second lorry with electrical goods which were stored in the warehouse. The 2 lorries left the estate soon after 6 in the morning. Gordon Road, half a mile away. The only positive sighting of the 2 lorries together was at 6:15. A witness saw them heading in the direction of the M32. From the M32, we think they headed east on the M4. In the meantime, the 2 employees had released themselves and alerted the Bristol police, who warned neighbouring forces of the stolen lorries. Membury Services, it's 10:15 a.m.
Reference the stolen lorry from Bristol, the toll gate, Echo 684 Lima Oscar uniform. We found it on the eastbound Membury lorry park. Further instructions, please.
The lorry's load was still inside. We think the Coles lorry continued up the M4 to London. 7 days later, it was found abandoned and empty in Palace Road, Streatham in southwest London. If you can provide any information about this robbery, please ring us now. My colleagues in Hampshire need your help to trace a rapist who attacked a mother and her daughter in January of this year. About 2 o'clock on the morning of the 4th of January, the two women were walking along Cove Road towards Fleet. Just by the roundabout at Bramshot Lane, a man joined them. He told them his name was Steve and his car had overturned nearby. Well, when they reached a more isolated part of the road, he pushed both of the women to the ground, indecently assaulted the daughter and then raped her mother. The rapist is white, in his early 20s, 5'8" to 5'9" tall, with dark collar-length hair. He may have a scar or mark on his right cheek. He was wearing a blouson-style leather jacket and light-coloured trousers. We also need to trace a gold or beige-coloured car similar to a Mark IV Ford Cortina. It was seen in the area just before the attack. If you can help, please get in touch. Finally, these cars stolen from Berkshire. Well, no self-respecting yuppie would be seen driving anything less than one of these very classy vehicles. Sadly, they're a bit beyond my price range, even though they're the children's size versions of the real thing. They're petrol-driven, have authentic controls and cost nearly £2,000 each. 4 cars like these were stolen on the night of February the 1st. The thieves took 2 red Porsches, a black BMW, but the Mercedes they took was a red one. They'd been parked in a trailer outside a company called Hope Works in Sunningdale in Berkshire when they were towed away by thieves. Each of the cars has its own stick-on number plates and a serial number etched on the near side chassis and in the boot. If you've been offered one or have seen them on sale, well, we'd like to hear from you.
The number here is 01811 8055. That's 01811 8055. This month, can you help to find up to £1 million worth of antiques stolen from George Washington's house? In Kent, the attempted kidnap of a 14-year-old girl as she did her paper round. An unusual golf club which could lead to 2 building society robbers. And the mechanical toys which walked away from a museum in Kidderminster. With the details, here's David Hatcher.
First, we hope these clothes may help my colleagues in Kent to identify the attacker of a young girl. At about 7 a.m. on the 10th of February, a 14-year-old girl was finishing her paper round in the village of Pluckley near Ashford. As she walked up the front path of a house in Forge Lane, a masked man leapt from behind a pile of logs and hit her repeatedly with a piece of wood. The logs had been deliberately arranged to form a hide. Luckily, a woman walking her dog nearby heard the girl's screams and pushed the attacker off. He ran back into Forge Lane and we think he got into a small red van, similar to a Datsun or Astra. He's probably white, between 18 and 35 years old, and of athletic build. A major part of the investigation has been to trace the origins of these clothes which the attacker took off as he ran. These blue overalls were owned by British Rail until last year. They'd shrunk and were discarded. Where have they been since last October? Both this jumper with the lion and this black T-shirt had light-coloured paint spattered on them. This disposable lighter was found in the pocket of the overalls, and this spanner was found behind the logs, probably left behind by the attacker. Do you know who owns them? Thanks to the prompt action of the woman passing, the young girl wasn't seriously injured. But if the attacker hadn't been disturbed, we're certain the crime would have been even more serious. If you've any information, don't hesitate. Ring us now. Next, the burglary in Northamptonshire. This is Salgrave Manor. It's open to the public and is the ancestral home of George Washington, the first American president. Sometime during the night of March the 30th, at least 2 thieves got into the house through an upstairs window using a ladder. These 18th century clocks are the 80 valuable antiques which they stole from the house. Also taken were the 17th century wassail bowl and this breeches Bible, which was leather-bound and dated from 1599. The antiques may have been taken away in these grey plastic bin liners because some were left behind. The total haul may be worth up to £1 million. If you've been offered these antiques or can help with any information, please call us now. Next, Bristol Police need your help to find a rapist. He broke into a student's room in the Redland area of Bristol at about 4:15 on the morning of the 11th of March. Earlier that evening, the student had been helping to raise money for comic relief by calling in local pubs. She's helped to compile an artist's impression of her attacker, and he's described as of medium height, between 20 and 25, slim build, with short-cropped, mousy hair and exceptionally round eyes. The rapist stole the money she'd raised, £136, and also took an electric radio alarm clock which had a built-in portable radio cassette like this one. This particular gadget is quite unusual, as there are only 2 outlets for them in the southwest. A few hours before the attack, at about 12:45 a.m, a man was seen hanging around the nearby Old Bristol Maternity Hospital. He's of similar description to the attacker. At the moment, he's not been eliminated from the inquiry, and Bristol police urgently need to speak to him. So if you recognise him or know anything about this case, please give us a call now. Next, colleagues in Sussex need your help in catching 2 robbers. They raided the Abbey National Building Society in Hove, Sussex on the 20th of March. After holding the staff hostage, the robbers got away with £22,000 in cash, as well as American Express travellers' cheques and Abbey National blank cheques. They left in a blue Vauxhall Belmont car, the registration number D170WUF. That had been stolen 1 month earlier, on the 24th of February, from a car park in Newhaven. It was spotted 4 days later in New Street, Worthing, and was found after the robbery in Alice Street, Hove, about a mile from the Abbey National. Did you see it in the month in between? The robbers also stole some very expensive golf clubs like this one from the car's boot. They were made by the company Tailor Made and have a distinctive logo. The robbers left behind a number of items in the car, including these calculators, a pin hammer, and a parking ticket from Horsham Council. The raiders are in their mid-20s, both white and about 5'9" tall. One man has a spotty complexion and short black spiky hair. The other has mousy brown hair cut in a wedge style. If you know these men or recognise any of the items, please get in touch. Finally, the raid on a toy museum in Worcestershire. This struck me as really unusual. It's a peddler doll. All her wares, including her kettle, socks and ribbons, have been faithfully recreated. It's similar to one stolen during a burglary at the Hereford and Worcester County Museum at Hartlebury Castle near Kidderminster. Late on the evening of Tuesday the 4th of April, the museum was broken into, and an assortment of antique toys and porcelain figurines was taken. These are similar to the ones stolen. As well as the peddler doll, there were dolls made in the Victorian age, mechanical toys, and some charming Staffordshire porcelain. During the raid, one of the burglars cut his hand or forearm. Blood was found at the scene. And about 11 p.m. that night, a small white van was seen in the driveway of the castle. The reward being offered may help to get our peddler lady back. So if you've any information about this or the other incident desk cases tonight, please ring us now.
And a reminder of the number once again, it's 01 811 8055. 01 811 8055. Well, now to this month's incident desk. Some short appeals on crimes from around the country. In the St Philip's area of Bristol, an attack on a prostitute by a man wielding a knife. In South London, the murder of a 45-year-old man as he walked home from a local pub early one Saturday evening in March. And in Manchester, a store manageress was attacked and robbed of the day's takings. In the struggle, she managed to tear a distinctive watch off the wrist of one of her attackers. With the details, here's Superintendent David Hatcher.
First, that attack on a woman in Bristol. On Wednesday the 11th of January at around 8 in the evening, a prostitute in the St Paul's area of Bristol was picked up in Norrisville Road by a man in a newish white Ford Sierra saloon. She was driven to the St Philip's area of the city. He parked the car in a car park and, without warning, attacked her with a kitchen knife. He threatened to kill her, but she managed to grab the knife and get it away from him. In the struggle, her attacker was badly cut on the cheek. We think he could be a sales rep who perhaps travels to Bristol on business. He's white, thin-built, between 5'7" and 5'9" tall, with short brown hair. He was clean-shaven and had a pale complexion with a scar on the lower left side of his face. Those cuts may have left him with fresh scars. If you recognise him or have any information that may help, please don't hesitate to call. Next, the apparently motiveless murder of a man in West Norwood, South London. 45-year-old Patrick Byrne had only been in London for 6 months. He'd come here to look for work, leaving his wife and children back home in County Clare in the Irish Republic. Patrick had found a job and was living with his mother in Dulwich. On Saturday the 11th of March at 5:20 in the afternoon, Patrick left his local pub, the Bricklayers Arms in Chapel Road, West Norwood, to walk home. From Chapel Road he would either have walked down Knight's Hill or along Norwood High Street, which would have been busy with Saturday shoppers. Perhaps you saw him. A witness did see Patrick turn into Robson Road. He was being closely followed by a young man. Further down the road, the same young man followed him into the gents' toilets. A minute later, both men reappeared. They seemed to be arguing, and it's possible that Patrick tore the man's jacket. As Patrick walked away, his pursuer leapt over the fence of a house, grabbed a piece of wood, and attacked him. He then casually walked off, still holding the piece of wood. Patrick died an hour later from severe head injuries. A witness to the attack tried to follow the man, but lost sight of him when he turned into nearby Chancellor Grove. The last possible sighting of Patrick's murderer was back on Knight's Hill. At 6 o'clock, about 3/4 of an hour after the attack, 2 boys saw a man who looked very angry and was clutching a piece of wood. This is a video fit of the attacker, who's described as white, about 5'7" tall, 20 to 25 years old, medium build, with dark collar-length hair. He had a thick, dark moustache at the time of the attack and was wearing blue jeans and trainers, and a brown jacket which may have been torn. Please call us now if you've any information which could help us to find him. Our last case concerns this 1930s wristwatch. Greater Manchester Police believe it may be a vital clue to a robbery in the Hale Barnes area of Altrincham. On Wednesday the 12th of April at 8 in the evening, a woman returning home was attacked in her driveway by 2 masked men. They struck her over the head and robbed her of £17,000 worth of cash and jewellery. However, the victim managed to tear off this watch from one of her attackers. Made by Denison in about 1936, it has an unusual porcelain face, a Buren movement, and bears this watch repairer's unique inscription inside the back. It also has a Denison case number. That's ALD 11100 96592. Well, after the attack, the men were driven away in this stolen red Ford Orion Geo 1.6, the registration number D441LNE. Now, that car had been stolen from the Whitworth Street NCP car park in Manchester city centre at about 10 to 5 earlier in the day. Well, it's now been recovered, but did you see it on the afternoon or evening of Wednesday the 12th of April? If you have information about this or any of our incident desk cases, please ring us now.
To remind you of the number here in the studio again, it's 01811 8055. That's 01811 8055.
Well, now to this month's incident desk, some short appeals on crimes around the country. In Nottingham, a fraud in which dozens of investors were tricked out of their redundancy and retirement money. In Durham, a missing camera which could be a crucial clue in the hunt for whoever murdered Sandy Douglas. And in Leicester and throughout the Midlands, a search for the man who's raided a series of building societies. Each time he's worn a curly wig. With the details, here's Superintendent David Hatcher.
First, that murder in County Durham. On Tuesday, May the 30th, the body of 45-year-old Sandy Douglas was discovered at her home in the village of Aycliffe near Darlington. She'd been stabbed. Sandy, who was also known as Daphne Torrock, was a wealthy divorcee. Since February, she'd rented a flat in Floral Street, Covent Garden, as a London base. Well, on Friday the 27th of May, that's the start of the bank holiday weekend, Sandy and a friend called Marcos travelled from London to Aycliffe and spent the weekend there. She told friends that Marcos was Spanish and worked as a waiter at a hotel near Covent Garden. The investigating officers would like to speak to Marcos, who may have information about her movements. He's described as about 20, 5'9" tall, with dark curly hair and of Mediterranean appearance. Do you recognise him? We think that just after 2 p.m. on the 29th of May, the bank holiday Monday, a taxi collected Marcos from the victim's home and took him to Darlington railway station. The officers believe that he caught a London-bound train. Now, he could have boarded the 9:55 a.m. Aberdeen to King's Cross. That stopped at Darlington at 2:33 p.m, continued on to York to arrive at King's Cross at 5:08 p.m. Or he may have caught the train which left Edinburgh at 1 p.m, arriving at Darlington at 3:04. That stopped at York, Doncaster, Peterborough and arrived at King's Cross at 5:45. Did you travel on either of those trains? And one more thing. A camera belonging to the victim has not been found. It's an Olympus AF10, serial number 18234228. Sandy's family is offering a reward for information leading to an arrest and conviction. If you can help, then call us now. Next, we'd like to find an armed robber who's raided 6 building societies in the Midlands and South West. Luckily for us, on 5 of those raids, he's been caught on security cameras, so we've got quite a bit of footage of him. The first incident took place at a building society in Gloucester on March the 30th. He threatened the cashiers with a small black handgun before making his getaway. We believe that that moustache is a fake. On the 18th of April, he turned up at a building society in Birmingham. Again, he threatened the cashiers with a handgun and demanded that they fill a carrier bag with cash. Once full, he calmly walked back into the street. In Northampton, 9 days later, on the 27th of April, he struck again. Just before 4:30 p.m, he went into a building society and held the cashiers at gunpoint. He seems to have been a little ruffled on this occasion and bundled the cash into his pockets. But then, only 7 days later in Leicester, he appeared as calm as ever. Again, he produced a small handgun and made the staff fill a white bin liner type bag with cash. We think that on this occasion, he made his getaway in a blue and black van. The last raid, caught by the security cameras, took place in Newport on the 17th of May. He strolled in at 10 minutes past 4 and ordered the cashiers to fill a dark green plastic bag with cash. And we think he struck again on the 7th of June at a building society in Swindon. We know that the robber is 6 foot 2 inches tall, of slim build and somewhere between 25 and 30 years of age. Now, at first glance, his hair looks real, but it's actually a wig. We think that underneath his real hair is fair, possibly even ginger. There's a reward for information leading to his arrest and conviction, so if you recognise him, please get in touch. Next, though, a murder in Surbiton in Surrey. A £25,000 reward has been offered by the family of retired solicitor James Durrant for information leading to the arrest and conviction of whoever murdered him in his home last October. James Durrant was last seen at 8:45 p.m. on Wednesday the 26th of October 1988 when he paid the bill for a meal at the Sugarloaf public house in London's Covent Garden. We think he travelled by tube to Waterloo Station and then by rail to Surbiton, where a ticket collector thinks he saw him at 9:45 that evening. He probably walked along Claremont Road into Surbiton Hill Road and then Cranes Park Avenue. James Durrant was found battered to death in his home. Although his wallet was missing, there was no sign of a break-in or a burglary, and we remain unsure as to the motive for his murder. So, if you can help in any way, please ring us now. Next, Nottinghamshire Police would like to speak to Peter William Wakeling, who might have information about a possible investment fraud totalling nearly £500,000. Between 1982 and 1986, 3 companies, UK and Offshore Investments, Newstead Investments and Murray Atoll Investments, may have been used to defraud people from Nottingham and Derby of their redundancy and retirement money. These companies have now ceased trading. During this time, we know Peter Wakeling bought several racehorses and used to visit race meetings around the country. Before his disappearance in May 1988, his last known address was in Clarborough, Nottingham, but he was seen as late as July 1988 at a hotel in West Bridgford, Nottingham, under the name of Peter Chamberlain. He's 34 years old, 6 foot 3 inches tall, of heavy build, and he may have shaved off that beard by now. Please ring us if you know where he is. Walt Disney's Jungle Book is one of the best-loved cartoon films ever made. It shows Mowgli's perilous journey through the jungle and how he is guided back to the man village by Baloo the bear. The 1967 film was just one illustration of Rudyard Kipling's stories. These are another. They're a complete set of prints made from engravings for the 1908 publication of the story. The artists were Maurice and Edward Detmold, two brothers who lived in Hampstead, London, and were well known for their animal illustrations. The 16 prints are nearly 90 years old, but are in excellent condition. Each illustration protected and stored in this folder. They were recovered in May in the West End of London by the Regional Crime Squad. Now, the officers believe that they may have been stolen and urgently need to trace their owner. Do you know who they belong to? If you've any information, then call us now.
Here's the number if you can help in any way, 01 811 8055. Now to Incident Desk. Without more ado, here's Superintendent David Hatcher.
Thank you. First, a case which made national news headlines. It was the murder of pensioner Donald Kell. About 10:45 a.m. on Wednesday morning, the 26th of July, while out on an errand for a neighbour, Donald Kell was shot dead. He was trying to prevent an armed robbery of a Brinks-Map security van outside the Lloyds Bank in Finchley Road, Swiss Cottage, London. There was a tube and rail strike that day, but the buses were running and the streets were busy, so there must be a lot of witnesses who haven't yet got in touch. The two armed men escaped in a yellow Volkswagen Golf, registration number LKM 851P. They abandoned it half a mile away behind Newton House on the Abbey Road estate and probably transferred to a red saloon-type car. The last registered owner of the Golf sold it to an unknown man in May 1987, and the car looks as if it's been left out in the open and used very little over the period of the last 2.5 years. But the Golf was seen in Moulton Avenue, Hounslow, Middlesex in May this year. Then, during June and July, it was seen 3.5 miles away near Cranford School in Middlesex. The last sighting was on the 12th of July in St Dunstan's Close, Cranford. The two robbers are both white, but tanned and have large beer bellies. One is between 30 and 45, 5'8" to 5'9" tall. He had a London accent and was wearing a white shorts, t-shirt and trainers. The second man was slightly taller and about 40. He had a moustache and was wearing a royal blue floppy hat, sunglasses, a red shirt and blue shorts. Both men were carrying handguns. There is a £20,000 reward for information leading to conviction, so if you can help, please let us know. Our next case is a very serious attack on an Asian family in the Brick Lane area of London. We've reenacted what some witnesses saw immediately after the attack. As the appeals are directed towards the local community, a Bengali speaker will take us through the case.
জুলাই মাসের 9 তারিখ রবিবার সন্ধ্যায় ওয়ারিস আলীর থান পরিবার সহ হোয়াইট চ্যাপেলের ফ্লাওয়ার এন্ড ডিনওয়াকে থান বাড়িতে আক্রমণ করা হয়। আক্রমণকারী দুইজন খালা আর একজন সাদা। আক্রমণে ইসমাত আলী মারা গেছেন আর থান বাগনা ওয়ারিস আলী এখনো খুব বেমার। আক্রমণের একটু বাদে একজন সাদা মানুষ ফ্লাওয়ার এন্ড ডিনওয়াক থেকে দৌড়াইয়া আইয়া একজন খালা মানুষের লগে মিলে আর দুইজনে দৌড়াইয়া গান্থ্রপ স্ট্রিটের দিকে যায়। সাদা মানুষটার বয়স প্রায় 20 বছর, লম্বা 5 ফুট 6 ইঞ্চি থেকে 10 ইঞ্চি, চুল লম্বা আর পিছনে বাঁধ দেওয়া। এই সময় একজন মানুষ পরিচয় না দিয়া ফোন করিয়া কইন থাইন থারারে দেখছইন। এই দুইজন থানি ছাড়া সাদা গাড়ি চড়িয়া হোয়াইট চ্যাপেল হাই স্ট্রিটের দিকে চলিয়া যায়। গাড়ির নম্বরের কিছু অংশ হইল 889। পরিচয় না দিয়া যে লোক ফোন করিয়াছিলা দয়া করিয়া আরবার ফোন করুকা। ঘটনার সময় আক্রমণকারী টাকা দাবি করে ওয়ারিস আলী টাকা লেনদেনের ব্যবসা করেন। সেই রবিবারে তার লগে আপনার লেনদেন হইয়া থাকলে ফোন করুকা, একজন বাঙালি আপনার উত্তর দিবেন।
We have a Bengali speaker with us in the studio to take your calls, so if you can help in any way, please get in touch. There is a reward of £5,000. In our last case, we need your help to identify this man. Calling himself A Winner and using a stolen cheque, he opened up a building society account in Hounslow, Middlesex. He returned on the 29th of March and withdrew the money, using it to buy a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow. He then went on to sell the car for over £15,000. Well, he's in his mid-20s, about 5'10" tall and has a London accent. If you recognise him, we'd like to hear from you. Perhaps with your help, the so-called Mr. A Winner could become a loser?
Well, here's a number if you can help on any of those cases. It's 01 811 8055. 01 811 8055. Well, now with Incident Desk, here once again is Superintendent David Hatcher.
First, a case of attempted murder of a 54-year-old woman in Croydon, Surrey. At about 3:45 p.m. on Monday the 19th of June, Mrs. Sukram Osman returned home to find 3 men had broken into her house. Although she told them she didn't have any valuables, they still beat her up and shot her with an air pistol, blinding her in one eye. When they left, they took with them a small amount of cash and 2 gallon-sized bottles of Bell's whiskey. Now, each bottle is nearly 2 feet tall and can only be sold to pubs, clubs and restaurants. So, if you've been offered one of these distinctive bottles, please get in touch. The attackers made their getaway in a gold or bronze Ford Capri or Opel Manta. It had front spoilers and skirts. 2 of the attackers are between 18 and 25 years old, slim build and of mixed race. One of them has a moustache. We know less about the third attacker, except that he is also slim build and of mixed race. We're anxious to find these men before they strike again, so if you can help, please let us know. Next, we need to find another extremely dangerous man who attacked an old lady of 74 in Winnersh, Berkshire. At about 10:45 a.m. on Friday the 21st of July, he tricked his way into the woman's home and raped her at knife point. Afterwards, he pushed her into a cupboard, placing heavy furniture in front of it. But luckily, she managed to escape and raise the alarm. The attacker is between 35 and 40 years of age, 5'10" to 6 feet tall, of heavy build and had receding gingery hair. He may have made his getaway in a pale blue car. If you recognise him, then please call us now. Finally, if you recognise this lorry, you could help us trace a thief whose vandalism led to a woman's death. It's a blue Foden articulated lorry and trailer. It has the logo of ECC Buildings Products on the cab, and its registration number is PEU 288Y. Now, it was stolen while parked overnight on Tuesday the 5th of September from the Qstoke Road quarry in Weston-super-Mare. Other lorries parked here had their wheel nuts tampered with, and the next day one of these lorries lost 2 wheels while travelling on the M5. One wheel hit a lorry travelling in the opposite direction. That lorry jumped the crash barrier and crushed a car, killing the driver. Now, we've little doubt that the theft of the articulated lorry and the attempted theft of the lorry wheels are linked. So if you think you've seen this lorry since the 5th of September, call us now.
Well, here's the telephone number once again if you can help in any way. It's 01 811 8055. 01 811 8055.
We're now to Incident Desk, where we invite police to appeal to you directly. Here's Superintendent David Hatcher.
First, Durham Police need your help to solve a robbery that took place at Hampsterley Service Station on the outskirts of Consett on Wednesday the 13th of September. It was just after 9 o'clock in the evening when 3 men burst into the owner's home on the garage forecourt and demanded money. There was a struggle during which the garage owner's wrist was broken, but he was able to provide an artist's impression of one of the raiders, who's described as in his mid-30s and 5'10" tall. Now, he wore a distinctive donkey jacket with orange shoulder flaps and this white safety helmet which he left behind. The second raider was 6 feet tall, large build and wore a green NATO-style jumper. The third was 5'7" tall, tubby, with fair hair and wore a copper-coloured anorak. All 3 had Tyneside accents. The robbers grabbed the day's takings and escaped in an orange Lada, similar to this. It may have an A and possibly an X in the number. They drove off towards Rowlands Gill, but that car has still not been found. So if you recognise this man or have any information about the robbery, please call us now. Next, can you help solve the murder of Elizabeth McCormack, who was found dead in her flat in Ilford, Essex, on Friday the 22nd of September. Elizabeth was last seen alive on Tuesday the 19th, when she left work at about 6:30 p.m. to head home. She probably got the Central line from Oxford Circus to Liverpool Street and then changed on to the British Rail line to Ilford, arriving there between 7:15 and 7:30 p.m. Perhaps you saw Elizabeth that evening. She was wearing a bright cerise pink skirt and a white shirt. After crossing over Cranbrook Road, she would have walked down Balfour Road, where there's a taxi rank. If you got a taxi there that night, you might remember her. She would have arrived at her flat at around 7:30, and we think she was murdered shortly after going inside. It seems that Elizabeth's attacker climbed over a gate beside her house. Between 7:30 and 8 p.m, a witness remembers seeing a man he thinks was Asian and about 5'8", walking down Belgrave Road, which is not far from her flat. His clothes seem to be covered in blood. So it's vital that we trace this man and talk to anyone who saw Elizabeth walking home on Tuesday the 19th of September. If you've any information that might help us solve this murder, then please phone us now. And if you've recently been offered property bearing one of these crests, you could help my colleagues in Avon and Somerset solve a £20,000 robbery at a Jacobean manor house. The manor house has been the home of the Fox family since 1924, and the present owner is Lloyd Howard Fox. During the night of Wednesday the 16th of August, 3 men got into the manor house, waking Mr Fox's assistant. Now they're described as in their late 20s, 5'10" to 6 feet tall, with London accents. One of them guarded him for about 4.5 hours while the robbery took place, and during that time the robber's conversation showed he knew a lot about the Marines. The raiders left at about 4 a.m. in Mr Fox's car, a blue Volvo which was found abandoned later that morning at the Gordano service station on the M5 just south of Bristol. They took with them jewellery, coins and a safe containing stamps. The collection of penny black, tuppenny blue and penny red stamps is alone worth £5,000. Also stolen was a 2.5-foot long oak and silver spade commemorating George V's coronation. Most of the items are inscribed with one of the Fox family crests or the initials LF. So, if you've been offered anything bearing these crests, please get in touch.
And if you can help with information on any of those cases, please ring us 01 811 8055. That's 01 811 8055.
Well, now to Incident Desk, where we invite the police to appeal to you directly. Here's Superintendent David Hatcher.
First, police in South London are trying to trace a man who's raped 3 elderly women. The attacks took place between Boxing Day 1988 and the 7th of October this year in the victims' own homes. 2 lived in the same block of flats in Southwark and the 3rd in Rotherhithe, a couple of miles away. One of the women was beaten unconscious and left for dead. The rapist, though, is about 25 years old, 5'6" tall and of stocky build. He has straight black hair, a crooked nose and brown moles or spots on his chest. He was scruffily dressed in dirty jeans and trainers. He also smelled strongly of alcohol and he's a smoker. Before leaving, the rapist stole cash and in the most recent case, he also stole a jumper, very much like this one. We're anxious to trace him before he strikes again, so please let us know if you have any information. Next, colleagues in Spark Hill in Birmingham want your help to trace a team of robbers who could be responsible for at least 3 armed raids at Asian jewellers in the Midlands. At 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday the 21st of November, 3 masked men forced their way into Kanji Jutha Jewellers in Stratford Road, Spark Hill. They threatened staff with wooden staves and stole £50,000 worth of gold jewellery. The haul including Asian wedding sets similar to these. Each item is unique and engraved with JKJ 916. Have you been offered any similar pieces? As the robbers left, one took his mask off. He's between 30 and 35 years old with thinning dark hair and a beer belly. They drove off in a stolen Vauxhall Astra. It was abandoned 3/4 of a mile away on waste ground off Homer Road in Balsall Heath. If you recognise this man or have any information about the robbers, please call us now. Next, my colleagues in London are looking for 2 men disguised as postmen who attacked an 83-year-old woman and stole about £300,000 worth of jewellery and antiques from her flat in Eaton Square. This malachite jewelled clock was among the items taken, as was a unique ladies' satinwood travelling box. It was specially made in the 19th century and has Mary written in diamonds on it. The snuff and trinket boxes around it on this table were stolen with it. They also took a 3-inch high ivory Buddha, similar to this one. Unknown to the attackers, as they went into the block of flats, they were caught on video camera. One of the men is black, 6 foot 3 inches and heavy build. He's in his 20s with short afro hair. The other man is also black and in his mid-20s, but he's only 5 foot 7 inches tall, of medium build and has very prominent eyes. There is a reward for information leading to arrest and conviction, so if you can help, please get in touch. Finally, at about 4 p.m. on Saturday the 26th of August, a customer drove into the Leyland Road petrol station in Penwortham, Lancashire. Without warning, a man brandishing a knife appeared at the driver's window and ordered him out of the car. The hijacker then drove off in the blue Ford Sierra, registration number A465HBG. We think he may have driven to the Midlands. About 4 hours later, the Sierra was dumped near Woolly Edge service station. Now that's on the northbound carriageway of the M1 near Wakefield. The man then approached two people in a green Cortina parked near the service station and tried to steal their car, again threatening them with a knife. However, they managed to scare him off. Now he's described as in his 30s, 5 foot 8 inches tall with dark collar-length hair, and he has an Irish accent. In his escape though, he dropped this green holdall with Daily Mail written across the top and Air New Zealand along the bottom. Inside were some clothes, toiletries and this camera. However, the twist in this tale is that when we developed the film from the camera, we found this photo. Do you recognise this man? He may have vital information about these incidents and West Yorkshire Police would like to speak to him. If you've any information, then please call us now.
And a reminder of the number to ring if you can help with that or any of our incident desk cases, 01 811 8055. 01 811 8055.